as a family. We have come here as we are. We have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit in this place. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. We sing with words of prayer. We affirm our life as sacred.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Athens.
Declare that peace is here.
This song is by the wonderful Denise Rosier, R-O-S-I-E-R. Her website is deniserosier.com. And we love this song because Spirit is in this place. If you're watching from home or your hammock or some other place, please sing along if you'd like. I'm so happy to be here live at Unity Athens this morning. We have some guests from out of state and a wonderful group. And good morning. Oh, it's so good to see faces instead of just photographs on the wall. It's so good to have you all here this morning. And for those that are watching on the live stream, you are at Unity Athens. I'm Reverend Bronte Colbert, and I'm so delighted to be with all of us this morning. Peggy Olson has today off, and our prayer chaplain that's on duty today is Martha Cook. Martha, if you want to raise your hand, we'll do that namaste also. So if you would like to have a prayer with Martha after the service, just go up and say, Martha, would you pray with me, please? And the answer seems always to be
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of prayer, we love to open everything in Unity with a prayer and close it with a prayer. So if you would center with me, maybe take a little time to sweep away any concerns or doubts or worries or fears from our very, very busy minds. Getting comfortable, however you see that. I like to have my feet on the floor so I can feel the energy of Mother Earth coming up. And we just breathe and we just go into that very quiet silence. And there are things gratefully sitting on your heart. We think of those things. Infinite Spirit, Holy All, Divine I Am, we thank you for this day, for our beautiful Georgia's sunshine, for sunshine in our hearts and in our minds. We thank you for this experience of living. What a gift we have been given to be here in the body temple, breathing, feeling the senses all around us, the smells and the sights and the sounds of everyday living. We are grateful for the peace that we find in our personal lives, our sense of security and safety, and we send that out into the world. For we know that which we dwell upon increases. That which we think about expands. That which we practice, like peace and love and understanding, goes out into the world and touches others. We thank you for this opportunity to nurture and appreciate and respect our inner divinity, to know the knowing that we are spirit in earthly form, together on this path. We see blessings for our dear ones, our families, our friends, for children everywhere across the planet, for all peoples, and especially for people that may be struggling or feeling displaced or feeling fear. We send love and light, like a comforting cloak of the liquidity of God's love. We pause and do that now. We breathe and send out love. We bring it back to the I am of us. Thank you, Infinite Spirit, for another day of living, for another day of loving, for another day of finding more and more things to appreciate. And in that consciousness and in that light and in that love and in that connection, we say or think, thank you to whatever our name is for the divine as individuals. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Again, good morning. Welcome to Unity Athens. We're so delighted to have two people from out of state this morning. Wonderful to have chat time this morning also. To read our daily word for today, I have Terry Bear, if you would come up. And following that, we're going to do a Unity nugget kind of together. It should be on. Yeah.
Beautiful day, beautiful Sunday, March 6, 2022. My life celebrates the glory of God. Glory fills the world with wonder when I attune my senses to it. I hear it in the sound of waves crashing on a beach and in the resonant harmony of a choir. I see it in sunrises and sunsets, in the beauty of gardens, mountains, and forests, and in the eyes of parents holding their newborn child. I feel glory in the depths of my being at those moments when I understand my life is God's life living in me, There is no place where my human self ends and the divine presence in me begins. I, God, and I are one. The glory of God is revealed in me as I release the thought that I am only human. God's glory shines through me as the divine presence, the Christ, expressing in my healthy body, my insightful mind, and my loving heart. And it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. Galatians 2:20.
Thank you so much, Terry. If you wanted to stay up here, that would be fine. Good. See, if you volunteer, you have to stay up here for the whole service. No, just kidding. Many of you know about the Lenten booklet. It's been distributed here, and it's also available from unity.org, and you can actually download a copy if you like. But it's so nice to hold them in our hands. For the last few years, the publishing division of Unity has been doing the Lenten booklets this way, with releasing and renewing. I used to sacrifice things for Lent. I mentioned last Sunday that my neighbor was Catholic when I was growing up, and I thought it was amazing that she had to give up meat, and I just wanted to give up something I didn't like broccoli or whatever. But think about if you're reading this book or looking at it, if you have a copy here or at home, they have a list of all the things we can consider releasing and renewing. Terry and I are going to take turns reading these 2 pages and just kind of listen, and if something resonates with you, if it kind of lights up a part of you, think about going back to that particular duo and using it as a tool to go forward. So if it's something like, I release thoughts or fears of illness, and that kind of lights you up, then do some spiritual work with that. Sit with it, meditate with it. How can I release that? How can I let that go for myself or for others? So we're going to take turns going back and forth. And Terry, why don't you begin?
I release problems that seem overwhelming. I renew my awareness of my spiritual nature.
I release a habit of judging others. I renew my commitment to see the divine in all beings.
I release doubt, confusion, and indecision. I renew my divine power of wisdom.
I release my fear of moving forward. I renew my willingness to step out in faith.
I release pessimism and negative thinking. I renew my positive expectations.
I release my habit of worrying. I renew my faith in divine order.
I release discontent and criticism. I renew my gratitude in all things.
I release any apathy or boredom. I renew my zeal and enthusiasm.
I release any belief in limitation. I renew my sense of possibility.
I release the fear of not having enough. I renew my awareness of abundance in my life.
I release any drama or conflict. I renew my inner peace in spirit.
I release any sense of discouragement. I renew my hope with the power of affirmative prayer.
I release the habit of digging in my heels. I renew my practice of non-resistance.
I release thoughts or fears of illness. I renew my openness to the healing power of spirit.
I release fears of being alone. I renew my connection with spirit, self, and others.
I release any old grudges and resentments. I renew inner peace by forgiving.
I release any need to complain. I renew my outlook through appreciation.
I release anger and blame. I renew my patience and compassion.
I release my darkest fears. I renew the strength and courage of my heart.
I release the shadows of grief and sorrow. I renew myself in the serenity of silence. Thank you, Terry. Let's give her a little applause. Just asked her to do this last minute. I have had 3 copies of this booklet up here. I kept putting them up here this morning, so they must have a home. They must be calling to one of you to come get it. Bless them extra. So we always love announcements here at Unity Athens, so now it's time for announcements. Yay! 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 When it was just Kevin and me doing the Sunday service and live streaming, and thank you, Kevin, for all those months, these 2 years. For about 14 months, it was just the 2 of us, so we had always had this, yay announcements to kind of get us in the mood for announcements. And we had a recording, which was very loud, of people cheering and clapping. There it is, okay. A little louder, Kevin, let's do that again. We have an in-person class on Thursdays, which I am leading. That is from 1 o'clock until 2:30, based on Eric Butterworth's Practical Metaphysics book, A New Insight in Truth. It's still open. You can come for just a couple classes if you like. We're having some great discussions in there, and I'm enjoying it also. The books are available on Amazon. I think we have like 1 left here, but it's quicker to get it from Amazon right now. Peggy Olson is continuing to do her early morning bookworms class. That's on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Great way to start your day, especially in these days. Why not start with a prayer group and discussion of spiritual topics? I believe she's doing excerpts from the book Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters, which is a wonderful book. You might want to consider getting that. Prayer Vigil from the Interfaith Clergy Partnership of Greater Athens, of which I am currently chairing, has decided to do a prayer vigil on the steps of City Hall. We believe it's going to be Monday, March 14th. We're still getting the permits to do that. There will be speakers, there will be prayers. We will be holding a mass consciousness for world peace. Been saying here, not just for Ukraine, but also for Russia, for all the people in Russia, and for the world. There's so much fear and worry going on right now. Rightfully so, but it doesn't help us to just be constantly focused on that. We need to focus on peace, and that will be part of the prayer vigil. We don't have a set time, but it looks like it'll be 5 o'clock on that Monday on the steps of City Hall. For Unity Athens members, please renew your membership unless you just joined in the last year. We have renewal cards over there on the table. If you'd like to become a member, and you can do that also virtually, you can live in another state and be a member, let us know at our email, unityathens@gmail.com. Our town hall meeting is the last Sunday of this month. Betty, our current board president, is busy getting everything together, and we appreciate you so much, Betty. If you would like to be in a leadership role, it's a wonderful opportunity to help your spiritual community here at Unity Athens. And that'll be right after the service on March 27th. And we'll have free lunch. That's always a plus, okay? Our matching fund of what a wonderful donors generously donated, $15,000, will continue until March 15th. You can match that. We're really appreciating the matches that have come in on that. Now it is time for meditation. After meditation, we'll have a song, and Kevin, let's do the Debbie Schroet song, okay? Our dear beloved Debbie Schroet made her transition about 1.5 years ago. I was speaking to her wife the other day, and we miss her so much. But her music still is very much with us. And actually Debbie is too. So, in times of meditation, if you're at home, perhaps consider turning out the light. If somebody would be willing to do that here, that would be great. Get comfortable however you see that. Move some things out of the way. It really, thank you. And then if you're home, you might want to again put your feet on the floor and just get comfortable, relax. Think about your breath, taking deep breaths, holding it just as long as you are comfortable and then letting go. Perhaps using a mantra, such as God is love, so hum, God is with me, Spirit loves me, whatever is comfortable for you. And if other thoughts come in, just sweep them away for now, or recognize them, put them on the shelf for later, or tell that thought you appreciate it, but you're going deeper now. During these meditations, we always have at least 2 minutes of deep silence to feel that clear connection, the messages we receive, the assurance and the love that we get when we turn deeply within. We will be holding our world in prayer and love also, and all the people in it, each and every one. Hold breath as long as you're comfortable, and then we'll let go. Perhaps you'd like to light a candle, hold a favorite object or crystal. Just as Spirit holds you in the depths of consciousness. Consider scanning your body and appreciating every part of it, seeing it filled with divine light and health. Thank it for being part of this earthly journey with you. Send out love to those you care about, dear ones, families, friends, our world. Focusing on the breath, we go deeper into consciousness in light and love. What a gift we give ourselves when we take time to turn within, to recognize that we are spiritual beings. As Eric Butterworth says, we are the allness of spirit within us, demonstrating as the eachness of each of us. We are gifts to this world. You are a gift. God loves you. Your life matters. You are blessed. You are loved. You are more powerful spiritually than you may realize. We go back to our breath, perhaps with a stretch, opening our eyes only when we're ready. Maybe leaving that candle lit at home or blowing it out, turning on the lights if you're able. Thank you, Betty. And we're going to have just some music, because sometimes it's good to have a little music after we get so quiet and still. So we'll play Debbie Schroed's song. Got that, my mic went up.
Is the battery?
Could be. Testing, there we go. Yay, it's a miracle. This song is called Peace Be Still. Peace be still.
It's daybreak, the world is stirring. Birds are chirping, cats are purring. But I jump up 'cause I'm in a hurry. For no good reason, I'm frantic with worry. But a voice within says slow it down, breathe in. Peace be still, I am enough. Peace be still, I close my eyes and lift my hands up. Peace be still, Holy Spirit fill my cup. Peace be still, peace be still. I have a passport to a secret place where I am magically transported through time and space, safely in the heart of grace. The outer world has been erased, and I've slowed it down. Now the only sound is peace be still, I am enough. Peace be still, I close my eyes and lift my hands up. Peace be still, Holy Spirit fill my cup. Peace be still, peace be still. When the world comes at me like an oncoming train, Holy Spirit soothes my soul like soft falling rain.
Thank you, Debbie Schroep. And I'm very blessed that song is just long enough to get your batteries changed. Which, maybe that's a battery changing song. I mean, to send that out to her with light and love. So much light and love. From Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. I'm going to repeat that. It's been very powerful for me this week. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So much going on. I know there's just so much sadness actually out there. I've found many tears this week, and I have to remember who I am and who we all are, and also not to just blame this or that or the other, to see love and light around both Ukraine and all the people in Russia and all the people around and all the discourse about it. But I remember at other times in my life when something big was going on in the news, I went to church or whatever place I was going to worship, not to hear more about it, but to find ways to be more within the experience. So I hope that we can do that a bit today, finding ways to live through these times while sending blessings, and perhaps on an individual basis, finding ways to support financially or to help, and maybe just learning from a personal level how to be at peace. Unity teaches that we reflect out into the world. And as we learn to be peaceful as individuals, as we put away conflict and strife and watch our levels of anger and hatred, that we actually make a difference in the mass consciousness. So I hope today's talk and insights will help with that. Eric Butterworth, and again, loving the book we are studying in Practical Metaphysics, says this: you have it in you to do and become all that you have the will to achieve and the vision to perceive. You have that capacity within you right now. Feel it. The goal is to begin to take steps to start today. Here a little, there a little, to make progress. It all begins with how you see yourself, how we see ourselves, and what we think about ourselves. And from Reverend Sherry James in the Unity booklet, this Lenten booklet, Release and Renew 2022, and that rhymes. In the quiet of the morning, she says, I steal away to be with my indwelling Christ, the Christed self, the presence of God within. In these precious moments, I am renewed, refreshed, and reminded of who I really am, spirit expressing. I have some suggestions. They're most likely for myself, but you might tie into some of these. Try to spend as much time in prayer and meditation as you do watching or hearing about or discussing the news. That felt like a challenge as this was coming to me last night. I was writing it down. I said, oh, that's a good thing to tell people. And I went, yeah, it's a good thing to tell yourself. So one way to do that, if you feel you want to stay up to date with things going around in the world, use that as a time for prayer. Just sit there. We've said this in the past. Bless the things you're seeing on your screens or on your phone or on the radio. And just, everything you're hearing that is difficult or doesn't seem like the world that you would prefer, just send light and love. See good working through everything, seeing tremendous metaphysical, world-embracing change happening when we see things that are upsetting to us. Remember to not refer to Russia as an aggressor. The people of Russia are beautiful and wonderful. Don't label the whole country. If we're all angry, upset with, pointing fingers at any one or more world leaders that are doing what we think is incorrect or wrong or immoral or horrific, when we're pointing fingers at that, we delay the peace process. Why is that? Because peace does not grow from hate or anger or judgment. Peace grows from what? Love, kindness, some level of understanding, even if it's difficult. So I hope those tips help you. I'm going to make a bigger sign in my little piece of notebook paper and put it right near the places where I might be hearing about news in the world. Going back to our Lenten booklet, the article for today, so every Sunday there's a bit of a longer article. I actually wrote the one for next Sunday. And then during the week, there's a release side and a renewal side for many of these different things that Terry and I were reading. And I loved this one written by, this page is in here, Reverend Joanna Gabriel, Doctorate of Ministry or Doctorate of Divinity. It's called A Season of Grace. I read this several times and it was just so touching to me. And then I read more carefully what her little by thing at the bottom was, that I'm sure Ellen Davenport put in here. And I didn't realize she had passed on. It says, Reverend Joanna Gabriel was a Unity minister, spiritual counselor, chaplain, teacher, workshop facilitator, singer, and storyteller living in Toledo, Ohio. She made her transition in September 2021. And I went, oh, that wasn't so very long ago. And I looked her up a bit and wanted to look at her face because I loved what she said so much. And then because I wrote for this booklet, we write them way ahead of time so we can turn in the articles. I went, September, well, that's the month that the articles were due. So she must have been writing this just before her transition, which made it even more poignant and beautiful to me. So I'm going to read parts of this and also repeat the ways she has in here to take up a practice of graceful living. And she mentions Eric Butterworth. In his book, Celebrate Yourself, Butterworth suggests we can make the 40 days of Lent a dynamic experience. Now, maybe you don't really practice Lent. Maybe it's just something you read about every day. But consider practice, because practice is really good for just about everything we set our minds to do. So make it dynamic, not by what we give up, but as Butterworth says, by what we take up. Think about what you want to take up in your life. Maybe it's take up a practice of morning meditation. Maybe it's take up a practice to really watch our words. Maybe it's take up a practice to say every day, what would you have me do, Spirit? How would you have me approach this or that out in the world? How would you suggest I handle this or that situation? She goes on, why not make this year's Lenten season different from others by taking up the practice of unconditional love? Love will open you up to deeper divine ideas and spiritual growth. Love will make your Lenten experience a season of God's grace. Grace is love in action. Wow, I hadn't really thought of it that way. Grace, love in action. Love purifies. Make this your work of Lent to allow the healing love of God to flow through you, removing any blockages of unforgiveness, guilt, anxiety, resentment, complaining, criticizing, fear, doubt, and any other negative thoughts about yourself or others. You can grow closer to God in preparation for the consciousness of resurrection at Easter, the raising up, the being the true God self that you are. Second Chronicles chapter 15, verse 7. But you take courage. Do not let your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. So she gives these ways to take up the practice of graceful living. Retreat. Now, you might think of retreat like, but think of retreat as, She says, find space and time for yourself, away from your normal activities, reconnecting with spirit and prayer. Choose the 40 days of Lent, and we're into it some days already, so it's okay. You don't need all 40, or you can tack some on at the end. You can do double on some days to catch up to the 40. Use it as a spiritual retreat from the excessive noise, news, and distractions. Light a candle. Maybe light a lot of candles. Taking breaks for journaling and music is ideal for transformation. I took a retreat recently, and I went to, it was like Hilton Head for maybe 3 nights, and it was so wonderful because it was actually chilly outside, so I wasn't really busy on the beach, and just walking on the sand really helps me turn away from the world and turn into the moment. There's the ocean, there's the sand. No TV for 3 days. I had it in the room, but I just kept it off. Had my books, had my meditation time. Perhaps you can't go and travel somewhere, but you can find retreat time at home, maybe in a corner, maybe just deciding to keep the news off for 1 day, maybe to up your prayer and meditation practice, maybe to have a project for yourself, like sending cards, sending out thank you notes for everything you can think of that someone has done to help you in life. It just came to me, so I'm going to make a note of that myself. Just sending out cards every single day. I heard a story long ago about a man who had an elderly father, and he couldn't visit very much, he couldn't talk to him very much, but he just decided to buy a bunch of postcards. And every day or couple of days, he sent a postcard to his dad who lived in another state. Might have been a quote on it, not a long thing, maybe a little reminder of something they did together. And he said when his dad passed and he went up to take care of his things and sort through and manage his affairs, that he saw all those postcards saved where he apparently had read them every day. So think about people you might just want to touch base with, sort of a spiritual retreat experience. Reverend Joanna said, secondly, change your heart, return. What false beliefs, hurt feelings, angers, burdens, unfulfilled desires, or bitterness have you hidden in your heart? You know, thinking about hiding things in our heart. Lent can be like spring cleaning for the heart and the soul. Try filling your heart with love. Perfect love will cast out fear or anything unlike love. Perfect love casts out fear. So when you're sitting with things going on in the world and they come in and you're, because it does feel kind of that way. Perfect love. Perfect love. Release is number 3. Change your thinking. Let go of the past. Make a clean break from hopelessness, helplessness, and lockdown fatigue, referring to the last 2 years that we've gone through. Cultivate a consciousness of celebrating life. Let happiness overwhelm you. If you go in the grocery store today and someone asks you how you're doing, say, happiness is overwhelming me. Watch for the reaction. I'd love to hear what they are. Let love light the way. Get in touch with gratitude. Change your thinking, change your world. I've said it again and again. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Absolutely, positively, every time. Finally, renew. Change your mind. The word Lent means spring. Spring. You want to say that with me? Spring. You can choose to spring into action with love. How? Your life is not all about you. Practice graceful living by giving small and thoughtful gifts to someone. Don't expect anything in return. Cook or bake and surprise your neighbor with it. Volunteer somewhere. Provide compassionate and supportive words and actions. And she concludes by saying, by sharing yourself with others, you're taking your mind off your own circumstances and putting it on love instead. Take our minds off the circumstances of the world, even for a little while, and put it on love instead. You can create a season of grace. This article in itself is beautiful, which is why I read the whole thing today. I don't usually do that. It's incredibly more powerful to me to know that this woman was in ill health and sounds like, well, it was unexpected. She was also dealing with ill health and wrote this beautiful piece of Lenten literature, we'll call it. So I am grateful, and I want to send light and love out to Reverend Joanna Gabriel, because I feel her presence just by reading that. A beautiful woman. So there's another lesson in there. She could have been dealing with some challenges. I don't know how long before she passed she wrote this, but she wrote it. And I think when we write something like that or really focus on something like that, it takes us into this mindfulness moment where we're not focused on all that out there. Should be a song like that. All that out there. And we turn within and we say, how can I deal with this? Consider journaling. Consider doing peace work, however you see that. Consider prayer. Consider knowing that as you bless your TV screen or your thoughts, or that friend that feels they have to express their distress about everything to you, don't even be against them. Just find peace in ourselves. And I do believe God is in everything. And that things continue to get better, whether we are seeing that or not. We are doing a practice, which we'll do right at the close of the service, which is coming up. Any prayer chaplains or board members that want to come up and bless the globe while we play the peace song at the very end. Know that after the service, if you want to bless our globe too, come on up and just, send light and love to our world. If you have prayer requests, please talk to Martha. Call Silent Unity. They are so wonderful to pray with. I tell the story often of one particular time when a dear one was in the hospital and they called Silent Unity and I felt so much better. And I was like, please have a copy of that prayer. And every single person that's ever spoken to me from up there has the same kind of beautiful voice. It's like, oh dear, we don't write these prayers down. We just listen to you and pray with you. I was like, oh, wow, okay, because it is in consciousness, it's not out there. Use your prayer tools in these weeks ahead and use what we talked about today, the light and love, and then look at yourself. What can I do for myself in these times? What can I do to make myself feel more peace? What can I do by myself to help another? Who can I send a card to? Who can I say thank you to from the depths of my being? And watch how your world changes all around you. All around you. We always love to have the opportunity to renew our abundance and our prosperity by giving. Kevin will put a slide up on the screen for those watching from home or elsewhere on ways to support Unity Athens. We so appreciate the gifts that have come in, especially over these last 2 years when we were running with a small crew and not being able to see your beautiful faces in person. Thank you for your support. The matching fund challenge is going on until the middle of March. We're grateful for that. We have baskets where you can put your gifts if you like, if you're here. But first of all, we put them on our hearts, or the thought of our gift, or the thought of our abundance over our heart, knowing that as we give, it returns to us abundantly. Pressed down, running over, flowing, making us grin, making us know that everything is okay and there's always enough for all that we require. So as we hold these gifts over our heart and we say our love offering affirmation, we call it our sacred exchange affirmation now because we believe that giving is a sacred event, and as we give, it returns to us multiplied abundantly. It took me so many years to learn that, and I'm so grateful for that gift, and it came from Unity. Best gift I ever received. So we hold our gifts over our heart, and when we get to the thank you God, it's your name for God. We use God here at Unity Athens a lot, but I know many people have different names for the divine, so you can use whatever name you like. Divine love, say it with me if you like, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am so blessed. Let's say that again 2 more times. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. One more time with my world is so blessed. My world is so blessed. Thank you, God. Amen. And so it is. We don't pass baskets at this time. Feel free to. If you're going to put something in the basket, you can do it now or later, or for those at home, thank you for your support also. Our prayer for protection makes us realize that it's not a God outside of ourselves, but the God within. So however you see that as we're saying our prayer for protection, and it's up on the walls, over there, it's been transformed. People are kind of tweaking it to make it sound like the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God, but we'll just read it the way it is today. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Now let's say it again, this time with you. And if there's anything in the world or in your connections, your friends or family, just picture yourself saying it to them. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. To close, Kevin, let's play, do you have I Send My Love up? Thank you. We'll play I Send My Love over the oceans, over the sea, into the heavens, and it returns to me, and that is by Karen Drucker, I believe. Yes, Thank you, Karen Drucker. Send her some love. She's amazing. You can sing out loud if you're comfortable doing that. And yes, we are so glad you're here. I'm so glad we're here. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for our guests from out of town. Blessings on you. It's fun chatting this morning. Visually see your love flowing out from you.
I send my love
all across the globe.
over the mountain,
all lands, all countries, all people.
over the sea. I send my love into the heavens.
Love rains down.
And it returns.
The energy of love creates
I
peace.
send my love.
Send that love flowing out from
over
you
the
to
mountains.
others.
I send my love.
Peace of love.
Over the sea.
And joy of love.
I send my love.
Power of love.
Into the heavens. And it returns to me. I send my joy.
Send our joy.
Over the mountains. I send my joy.
A little bit of
Over
happiness.
the sea.
A whole lot of
I
happiness.
send my joy.
Miracles occurring just as they are needed.
Into
Helpers showing up.
it returns to me. I send my power.
Send the power of love, the power of consciousness, the power of spirit.
I send my power. Send my power over
The
the
power of
sea.
forgiveness, the power of good
I send
reasoning,
my power. Send my power.
the power of
into
loving
the
kindness.
heavens. And it returns to me. I send
Peace
peace
and peace.
over the mountains. I send
And
peace
peace.
over the
See it
sea.
flowing.
I send
See
peace
it flowing and
into the heavens.
making a difference.
And it returns to me. I send my power. Send my power over the mountain. Over the mountain. I send my power. Send my power over the sea. Over the sea. I send my power. Send my power into the heavens. And it returns to me. I send my love.
Send our love.
Over the mountains.
Lots of love. Flowing
I
love.
send my love.
Streaming
over the
love.
sea.
Making a
I
difference love.
send my love into the heavens.
That love goes out and comes back. It goes out stronger and it comes back stronger. And it goes out stronger again and it comes back stronger again. And it goes out so strong. People can feel it. They stop in their tracks, whatever they're doing, and they feel love. They feel love. Just as we do now.
It returns to me. It returns to me.
We bless our world. We bless our world. We bless our world. God is everywhere present. And so it is. The prayer chaplain, Mark, you want to come up? I think we're off the screen right now. And Peggy, I'm sorry, Betty,